This is not Rome. This is what time leaves behind. Cracked limestone, weathered arches, stone worn down by centuries of wind, rain, and footsteps. Fragments of something that once felt untouchable. But this is only the aftermath, because 2,000 years ago, this place didn't whisper. It roared. The air trembled with voices. 50,000 people packed into stone walls, shouting, chanting, demanding spectacle. Banners snapped in the wind. Sand trembled beneath the weight of footsteps. This wasn't a ruin. It was alive. And not just alive. It was the center of the world. We've spent generations staring at what remains and calling it history. But ruins are not truth. They are the final frame, after everything else has been erased. So what did Rome actually look like before the silence, before the emptiness, before time stripped it down to bones? Imagine standing in a city where every direction you turn, something massive rises into the sky. Columns taller than anything you've ever seen, temples glowing in sunlight, statues watching from every corner. This is Rome at its peak, a city of over 1 million people, a scale so vast, no civilization had ever attempted it before. And somehow, it worked. Because Rome wasn't built on beauty alone. It was built on control, hidden beneath your feet. A second world existed, water rushing through engineered tunnels, waste disappearing into massive underground channels. A system so advanced, it kept an entire city functioning without pause. Above ground, aqueducts stretched across the horizon like arteries, carrying life into the city, feeding fountains, bathhouses, homes, before modern plumbing, before modern infrastructure. Rome had already solved the impossible. This wasn't just a city, it was a machine. And inside that machine, life moved relentlessly. The streets were never quiet. Voices collided in every direction. Languages mixed. Accents blended. Merchants shouted over one another. Coins clinked. Animals pushed through crowds. The scent of spices filled the air. From Africa to the Middle East to the far edges of Europe, everything flowed into Rome. Gold, silk, grain, ideas, power. But beneath that movement, beneath that energy, there was a divide. Because not everyone experienced Rome the same way. For most, life was unstable. Narrow buildings stacked too high. Wood and brick that could collapse without warning. Rooms packed with families struggling to survive. Fire was always a threat. Hunger was always close. But just above them, on the hills, another world existed. Open space, flowing water, gardens, marble floors that reflected sunlight. Luxury so extreme, it didn't feel real. Two realities existing at the same time. One surviving, one ruling. And then there was spectacle. Massive arenas filled beyond capacity. Crowds vibrating with anticipation. The sound wasn't just loud, it was overwhelming. Chariots racing at impossible speeds. Dust rising into the air. The ground shaking beneath thousands of feet. This was power, turned into entertainment, control, disguised as excitement. Rome didn't just want to be strong, it wanted to be seen, to be felt, to be remembered. And that didn't stop at the streets, because Rome didn't just build a city, it built belief. Temples towered above everything, designed to make you feel small, insignificant, temporary. Light poured through openings in perfect beams. Shadows stretched across massive interiors. Everything about these spaces told you one thing: you are not in control. Rome is. And then there were the statues, not silent, not lifeless, but painted. Bright reds, deep blues, gold accents catching the light, eyes that seem to follow you, expressions frozen in power. Every detail was intentional. Every structure was a message. Rome is powerful. Rome is chosen. Rome is eternal. But nothing eternal needs to say it out loud. Because beneath all of it, something had already begun to change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, quietly. The crowds didn't vanish overnight. The buildings didn't collapse in a single moment. Instead, Rome began to thin. Spaces that once felt full started to feel different, then emptier, then quieter. The systems that once ran perfectly began to strain. Resources stretched, control weakened. The machine that once felt unstoppable started to hesitate, and then to fail, not with a single event, but with time. Buildings were abandoned, markets slowed, voices faded, and something strange happened. Rome didn't fall in a dramatic explosion. It was slowly taken apart, stone by stone, columns removed, structures dismantled, materials reused to build something new, until the city that once defined the world no longer looked like itself, until all that remained were fragments, ruins. But those ruins were never the full story. Because Rome didn't disappear. It changed form. Its ideas spread beyond its systems became foundations for the future. Look closely at the modern world, and you'll see it. In the way cities are planned, in the way power is displayed, in the way influence is built. Rome is still here, not as an empire, but as a blueprint. And today, we walk through its remains without even realizing it. We stand inside the shadow of something that once believed it would last forever. And maybe that's the real story, because every civilization believes the same thing, that it's different, that it's stronger, that it will last, just like Rome did, until it didn't. So the real question isn't how Rome fell. It's this: what will our ruins look like? When everything we've built becomes fragments, what story will they tell about us? Will they see power or illusion? Will they believe we were unstoppable, or that we simply didn't see it coming? Because one day, someone will stand where we once stood, looking at what's left, trying to understand who we were and why we thought we would last forever. If this made you see history differently, if this changed how you look at the world around you, then this is just the beginning. Because we're not just exploring the past, we're rebuilding it, one lost civilization at a time. So if you want to witness history the way it was never meant to be seen, subscribe now. Because the next time we rewind time, you won't want to miss what we uncover. Nothing lasts forever, but what we discover next might change everything.